Good morning. Welcome into Five Clubs here on Golf Channel. It is a Tuesday morning. You can also listen if you're leaving the home. It is Channel 92. That is PGA Tour Radio on Sirius XM. I am Gary Williams. Great to have you with us. It's that time of the year. I got here. I thought I was late because it's already light out at 6:15. It is glorious that golf now can be played literally from almost 6 a.m. until 8 o'clock at night. Of course, this program is always brought to you by Century Insurance, right by you. They do all the right things in the game of golf when it comes to who they partner with, like the First Tee and the United States Golf Association, and of course, that first event of the calendar year on the PGA Tour, Golf Pride. Players at every level, including the best players in the world, and the guy who just won the Masters tournament, trust Golf Pride more than any other grip company. It's not even close. Peter Millar, everything I wear is Peter Millar and have worn for the last 15 years. No matter what you're doing, where you're going, it is Peter Millar. Refining luxury, performance, and style for more than 2 decades. And then finally, and most importantly, how about Pinehurst, the cradle of American golf? They now have the cottages available at Pinehurst number 8. All right, we're going to go 4 wide today. We've never done that on the live show since we began in January. What I mean by that is that Brendon de Jonge, Johnson Wagner, and eventually Taylor Zarzour are going to be sitting right here. We're going to chop it up for the better part of the next hour. Johnson and Brendon are going to join me soon enough. Johnson wanted to be in here a half an hour ago to remind everybody that he's picked 3 winners in a row. And he walked in here this morning declaring that he's got his 4th in a row on tap for the CJ Cup Byron Nelson. He'll have to wait a couple minutes for that, but he is on a roll. And we've got a lot to discuss because it's hard to fathom we are where we are because, yes, May is upon us at the end of this week. 19 of 36 events in the regular season on the PGA Tour are now completed, meaning more than half the season is over. And then you have the 3 playoff events. And of course, you have the Ryder Cup at the end of September. But the point is that it's getting late early because for players who need to shake off whatever doldrums they're currently in, which happens, it happens all the time in professional golf. But in a Ryder Cup year, if you're a European or if you're an American, the time is now. Because if you look at the Ryder Cup standings alone, you're going, my gosh, this guy is 19th or he's 22nd, or this guy's 5th. Like he's got a real chance. So we're at that stage of the year where you can really evaluate who's having a great year. And then on the other hand, who, like I said, needs to get it right if they're going to salvage their season. And again, you have half the season left. And you also have 3 major championships that have not been contested. But what we've already seen, we've seen the first major of the year. We have seen the Players' Championship. We've seen 5 of the 8 Signature Series events as well. So you have the PGA Championship coming up in a couple of weeks. And then obviously we go to the U.S. Open at Oakmont and then the Open Championship. But the month of July is interesting here in the United States because really, most of the best players don't play domestically. They will play the Open Championship. Many of them play the Scottish Open, which is now co-sanctioned, which is great. I think there should be other ways of co-sanctioning events around the Rolex Series on the DP World Tour. That is a conversation for another time. But also consider where we are, and we're going to talk about this with Johnson and Brendon and Taylor. Rory 2.0. I wrote about it. You can read it at fiveclubsgolf.com. Where are we going now with him? Not only in the immediacy of what is remaining this year, but over the next 3 to 5 years. He is a very vibrant, very, I would say, not only physically fit, sturdier maybe than he's ever been. He's going to turn 36 in a week. And it's hard to believe that he is going to be 36. And at the same token, it's hard to believe that Brooks Koepka, who has the same birthday minus 1 day, is going to be 1 year less than him at 35. So those 2 guys are getting ready to celebrate birthdays. Where is someone like Brooks Koepka? And also, where is someone like Jon Rahm as we head toward this 2nd major championship? And I mentioned those 2 guys because at the beginning of the year, And again, it can be a little bit precarious to be presumptuous about the performance of players in this sport. But we thought that Brooks Koepka would be on the United States Ryder Cup team. We thought most certainly that Jon Rahm would be on the European team. And I will still say most certainly Jon Rahm is going to represent Europe. But I think Brooks Koepka has got work to do. He's got to do what he always does, and that is stand tallest in major championships. His next opportunity comes in a couple of weeks. And that is the last thing I'm going to touch on for now, because we're going to get Brendon and Johnson in here, and we're going to be off and running with them on a lot of different subjects on this Tuesday, is the European team. And again, at the beginning of the year, you can say, take it easy. It's January. Nice. They got a win. Take it easy. It's February. They got another win. Take it easy. It's March. No, it's no longer, hey, it's this, it's that. 7 wins already on the PGA Tour from players from Europe, including those 3 from Rory McIlroy. And it wasn't a question of Rory being somebody who was going to be a linchpin for the European Ryder Cup team. It's the idea that if Rory McIlroy completes what I already think is his greatest season, he's won more in a season, 4. I think he's going to top that number. Because he's done what he's already done, I can promise you that at the end of the year, when he and his team and all of his sponsors and the people that matter most to him convene at Ohoopee Match Club, where they do every December, they're going to celebrate like they haven't before because of the Masters victory. But beyond that, I can promise you, down to his soul, you know how he wants to finish the year? He wants to go to Bethpage and answer to his own words from Rome when he said, we're going there and we're going to win. So if he adds another major championship, whether it be the PGA US Open or Open Championship at home at Royal Portrush, and then he puts a bow on the year by coming to Bethpage and winning a road game, it will be, and he can play for another 50 years if he chooses to. There will never be another year that will be more gratifying and more satisfying than that. And the other part of it is, Europe is not only winning golf tournaments on the PGA Tour, they're also having other guys showing that they have the chops to do this. Europe is bringing 12 dudes to Long Island, and they are putting immense heat already as we just get to the month of May on the United States team, because the pressure on the U.S. team to basically just answer the call and hold serve at home is immeasurable. That's what makes this Ryder Cup in an environment that is going to be unlike anything we've seen, and all of them are unlike anything we've ever seen. This one's going to be at a different level. All right, we're going to take our first break here. When we continue, Johnson and Brendon are going to join me. Steak for breakfast on a Tuesday. Taylor Zarzour to follow a little bit later on to my right as we begin a Tuesday with you, not only right here on Golf Channel, but also on Channel 92 on Sirius XM's PGA Tour Radio. Back with you right after this. Welcome back in on this Tuesday. This segment brought to you by Golf Pride. All players at every level trust Golf Pride more than any grip anywhere in the world. They've got the new Align Max grips that I've got on my clubs, not to mention the reverse taper putter grip as well. Try Golf Pride. Most all elite players use Golf Pride. All right, they have their show on Monday nights on Sirius XM's Channel 92, which many of you are probably listening to right now, PGA Tour Radio, and of course they are seen on PGA Tour Live, on Golf Channel, on NBC. They are everywhere. They are Wagyu filet. It is a little steak for breakfast on a Tuesday. Johnson Wagner is on a roll like we've never seen before. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Gary. I think I've gotten very lucky. I may have pulled the JT one out of thin air, but...
You think you've gotten very lucky. You've gotten very lucky.
Well, I mean, sometimes it takes luck.
You played the Rory card, not an easy card to play. I mean, look, you picked him, luck, whatever. All of this stuff is kind of luck. I mean, it's so damn hard to win.
The Novak Griffin pick was so well thought out for me. I mean, the way he's played all year long, to do what he did at the RBC Heritage, losing to JT in the playoff. Oh, give me a break.
I love watching him as you're explaining yourself.
But thinking about two guys that have come so close over the last couple of years to get into an event where they have a partner to play with, I think helped a lot. And I kept likening it to Davis Riley and Nick Hardy a couple of years ago when they won their first events as a team competition. So
it's interesting. I was not a fan of the way that they had the formats structured. When they decided they're going to go to this team thing, I'm like, play better ball on the last day. That way somebody could just go insane and you have no idea. It's like the last birdie hole is going to win the whole thing. I now am so into the fact that it's alternate shot. Here's the other thing. You guys tell me, whether it's your first win or in the case of Rory, it would have been his 30th, trying to win with a partner in alternate shot in some ways I think is harder than trying to win by yourself.
And it's way harder than trying to win best ball. And it was the first couple of years was better ball on Friday and Sunday, and the tournament made the decision because it's too hard to separate yourself in better ball. And so the alternate shot gives room for way more volatility.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're now trying to close this thing out, trying to get it done, as you say, with your partners over there watching you. And I mean, just some of the reactions you can see there, like head in his hands. I've let my partner down. What have I done? And it makes for great TV.
And you don't have to look much further than Frankie Sappin with the honor on 17.
Totally.
Because if that's better ball, his partner still has a chance to put the ball on the green. And that bogey he and Jake Knapp made when Jake hit it to 15 feet kept him in the tournament. So to be able to bail your partner out and then for you to be able to make up for a mistake that quickly, it's the beauty of alternate shot.
Absolutely. And then the chunk third, and they figured out a way to get up and down and salvage third alone, which is huge. You look at that at the end of the year, it's gonna mean something. And Andrew Novak, after seeing Frankie Zappin hit it in the water, you know that his heart stopped for about a second and a half with the shape of his shot that was right on the left edge there. I mean, it's really fascinating television.
It is. It's about as intense as I can remember a finishing stretch because Novak and Griffin lost all the momentum coming out of that rain delay. And you thought, oh my gosh, these guys have been destined to win this tournament the entire week. And then it was about to get just pulled right out from under them.
To your point, that's not where Andrew Novak was aiming. that ball was supposed to be 30 feet right of that hole. And, well, it worked out just fine.
He's a terrific story. Certainly this year. His name may come up before we're done. Let's kind of reset everything. You guys had your show last night. I think, whatever happens in the Masters tournament, there is life to whatever the result is. And in this case, there's lots of life because it means so much for the person who won, and it means so much in terms of what might possibly be next. Taylor's going to join us. We'll get to what we all think quantitatively the end of the year will look like. But 2.0, if you had to venture in one direction, fork in the road, it's going to be hard for him to ascend again this quickly, whether it be Quail Hollow, Oakmont, or the Open Championship at Portrush, or there's a level of freedom that we may see him in a way that we haven't seen him before. What direction would you go?
Ladder.
100%.
Unleashed. I think Rory, to me, when I watch him, he's got this single-mindedness. Like, it is golf. It is golf. I am out there playing golf. I think we are going to see something really, really special out of Rory McIlroy for the next 8 to 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
deep into his 40s.
Yep. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's kept his body in good enough shape. And I had a nice conversation with him. I was on site in New Orleans, and on Wednesday during the Pro-Am, I caught up with him on the third hole, and we're walking and having a nice chat, and he couldn't get enough information from me about Quail Hollow. What's the rough look like? What are the greens like? What's this like? So it led me to believe, okay, probably going to take some time off after this week, get ready for the Truist, and just make sure his game's in good shape at Truist. Obviously, a win there would be nice, but he is now refocusing for the PGA Championship, and having the advantage he does around that golf course in the history, I fully expect him to be in contention and win that golf course.
We saw Rory knock off 4 majors very quickly as a youngster with not half of the shots that he has now. He has a toolbox that is so much fuller now than it was back then. What's to say he's not going to win another 5 or 6 really quickly?
Here is the other part of what you just said. When he knocked off the ones early, yes, what happened in 2011 at Augusta National was a moment, and it was jolting. as he stood on that 10th tee, and all of a sudden there's the image of him up in the cabins. But there wasn't built up scar tissue. It was a moment in time, so much so that literally a month later, or 2 months later, he won the U.S. Open in a walk. So all of a sudden, here we are 10 years later. Yes, all the scar tissue Johnson built back up. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist in the recesses maybe of his mind, but doing what he's just done, there may be this sense that he's back to, he's not the boy he once was, but not having all this stuff, all this baggage. That baggage is buried to some degree to where now all of a sudden full flight and ripping off, I don't know, 3 and 4 years is very plausible.
It's very plausible. I think all the scar tissue's gone. It's like he's been reborn and everything in the past is erased. And to your point about his toolbox having more shots, look at the majors he won. Congressional, soft as can be. Valhalla, soft. When he won at Hoylake, soft. Kiowa was soft as well as August in
Agreed.
South Carolina.
Yep.
So now I think that the knock on him was before he needed a soft venue to win a major. I think he can go win on a firm and fast place with as much spin as he can put on the ball. The shot into 15 at Augusta on Sunday tells me everything I need to know. He has every shot in the bag. He's got more shots than he's ever had. So yes, I think the venues have opened up for him dramatically.
That golf course on Sunday was the spiciest golf course that he has won a golf tournament on. And then you add the gravity and the weightiness of the whole thing. Yes, the second on 15, the second on 17. The second in the playoff hole after Justin Rose put some major heat on him. The other thing is, if you look at the advanced metrics, Brendon, of him and shots that he's playing in windy conditions, he's gone from being a guy that you thought might be vulnerable in those conditions to being a guy who's most capable in those conditions.
Oh, 100%. And a lot of it's because of what you've talked about, this golf ball. This golf ball has been a huge switch for him, mainly for playing in the wind. It's given him the ability to be able to hit those three-quarter shots, to control the golf ball in the breezes. And I'm excited to see what the next few years look like for Rory McIlroy. Honestly, I think he's going to get to double digits. He's going to go past player, going to go past.
Oh my God.
I'm ready to go that far.
Okay, wow. It is 8:20 on a Tuesday, and we are unhinged. He's going past player.
Yep.
But don't you think, to some extent, going to a spinnier ball is so counterintuitive to what you would think?
Yeah.
Because he's a guy that had super high spin anyway, so playing a low spin ball made sense. But the fact that I know Tiger played the high spin ball, and Colin Morikawa plays the high spin ball, and they fit their drivers to it, and it does allow you to hit more shots. It just, for a guy that pretty much had just full swing after full swing, it's amazing the route he's gone and the steps he's taken to improve that part of his game.
And I mean, this is a guy that was willing to take essentially 3 weeks and lock himself in a room and completely reinvent the golf swing that well, not reinvent it, but fine-tune his golf swing, change the golf ball, everything. I mean, there is a single-mindedness to Rory McIlroy that, as I say, I'm pretty excited to see the next few years.
You pointed out as well some of these shots that he has hit that have been true, moments of artistry. 13 and 14, when he was kind of, the shot on 13, you can say was a little bit right of his target, whatever. The shot from the trees on 14, did he have a gap? Sure, but he pulled it off. Go back to the players. You pointed out the shot on the 6th hole, the shot on 18, which was his 9th hole on Thursday. He's doing things with a vision of painting pictures that I always looked at him as a guy who was like a jacked up Camaro, that he would just put it on the floor and it's like, okay, that's how he won by 8 shots. Now it's like he's got this turning radius where, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like he's this fine Italian sports car now. It's fascinating.
Like a Maserati?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not familiar with the Maserati line, but I am, but not.
And I would agree, and I go even further. Some of the wedges he hit into Augusta on number 9 to a front pin where it one hops and stops. He didn't use the backstop. The shot he hit in, I keep bringing it up, 17 in the playoff at the Players' Championship, into a humming wind to hit a 9-iron that he can hit 165 yards, to feel like he's hitting a 145-yard shot with that club and flight it. Like,
It was always that Rory would win golf tournaments because of how he drove the golf ball. Like he would just drive it to death and just kill everybody that way. Now he's doing it in so many different ways. I mean, again, it's cool to watch.
It is. Let's touch on Justin Thomas, because you follow the Rory pick in the Masters, you pick him at the Heritage. Look, a lot of these are kind of flyers, but you had some intuition. and it was well-founded. Look at what he's done. He's back to some degree. Is he back in your mind?
He's back now. The thing I preface this with is he doesn't have near the consistency that a Scottie Scheffler or a Rory McIlroy does over 4 rounds of golf. We see it with JT. Yes, he can go shoot a course record. There's a stunning stat that I saw
ridiculous.
After. He's got, 9 or 10 course records on the PGA Tour now? So he's got that acceleration level, but he also can go shoot a 74. So for me to really be thinking he's back and winning majors and challenging world number 1, I need to see a little bit more consistency out of him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that is fair. I tell you what he's been very impressive with is the putter. The work that he's done with the putter, and obviously to shoot all these low scores, you're going to have to make a bunch of putts, but he's found a consistency with the putter, which leads me to say, yes, I think he is back.
And it's been a couple of years now when you watch him putt in a golf tournament, he putts and he keeps his head down longer than anybody, and that is the best way for a consistent strike and to get that ball rolling on line. Last year it didn't pay off, but now the continued work and the continued comfort level, because that's an uncomfortable thing to do.
Sure.
Not watch your ball roll right after you hit it. I think it's finally the 2 years of doing that is paying off in spades.
It is. It was very interesting that he revealed to Todd Lewis during the week of the Heritage the time that he spent at the end of the year with Xander Schauffele, and it wasn't like we're going to focus on this, and this. He said, "Can you give me an afternoon or a morning or whatever it was?" And they just shared thought for hours on kind of Xander's process. If you look at not only the stats, they are exponentially better, obviously, than last year. But the other part of it is when he needed to make putts on that final day, and I'm not just talking about the one that he dripped in the playoff to win. Think about the par putts that he made. The saves that he had on the front side on the par 3s, to me, I'm never going to forget those. Those were gritty. Those were digging in and knowing those are 8 feet. If I miss this, one shot's going to feel like a shot and 3/4 back. But what you said about him in consistency, if you look at his major record and you compare it, whether it be to Rory, Scheffler, Schauffele, doesn't have it. He needs to show the ability, whatever the venue and whatever the major, that he can stand tall enough to consistently start contending more, because he hadn't done that.
And with his wedge game being so good,
yes,
he's incredible around the greens. Who's better with the wedge in the hand than JT? It shocks me at his ability to be so inconsistent and to not be good in majors, and it just leads me to believe that maybe he gets a little bit too aggressive out of position, hits too many foul balls with the driver, but you would think he could just lay it up in the fairway and get it up and down, 6 out of 10 times in a major when doing that.
Let's talk a little bit about Scottie, because at this time last year, he actually had one more win than Rory currently has, but they had the Players, they had the Masters. He then followed the Masters by winning the Heritage, and it was like, oh my gosh, from the API to the Heritage, it was, we are now in a place that we rarely are in, and that was all invoking of Tiger left, right, statistically, all those things. Now he sits here, and you can see him on the golf course. There's agitation. There's some frustration. Do you expect him to win in the next month somewhere?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, Quail Hollow, he didn't play last year because he was in the middle of his wife having a baby.
Him and Spieth are also Texas guys.
Which is tough. We were talking about this last night, the schedule that these guys have coming up, that they want to support the Byron Nelson. They want to support Colonial. It's tough because you have the Truist and then the PGA, and then on the backside of Colonial, you have Memorial where Scottie's going to be defending. So it's tough for those Texas guys to pick and choose their schedule, but I absolutely expect him to win. Scottie Scheffler is somehow third in the FedEx Cup right now. I mean, everybody's talking about he's not playing great. He hasn't won
second,
4
third,
times.
Fourth. I mean, it's just, he's so productive.
Yes.
But he hadn't won. And we now have a referendum on his results, like we do on just a few players in the game.
I liken what Scottie's doing this year. How often have we talked about it's difficult to follow up a low round after you've had a really low round the day before?
Sure.
This is kind of what he's going through. You had an unbelievable year last year. Now you're trying to follow that up. There's always the questions of, why aren't you doing this year what you did last year? You had this amount of wins at this time last year. But yes, short answer is yes, he's going to win soon.
To me, and again, because winning is so elusive, I look at the little things. I think that you guys certainly didn't take for granted how efficient he would be in those really important moments when he would miss a green. And if you look at his strokes gained around the green right now, those numbers are not where they've been last year, the year before that. It's the last 9 holes, last round. He's also not getting off to the starts that he got off to last year. I mean, he was first in first-round scoring on the PGA Tour last year. Not only did that embolden him, I actually think it debilitated everybody else. Like, my God, it's another week, and he just shot 65 on a Thursday, and he's got a 2-shot lead. I'm with you guys. I think it's sooner. And I think that the Tour would benefit greatly if he returned a big serve from the guy who right now is doing to him what he did to everybody else, and that, of course, being Rory.
I think this is a good thing for Scottie right now because I certainly see him winning a major this year, and I think not picking off the Masters gives him that extra level of hunger and desire to go. Oakmont? I mean, Scottie Scheffler at Oakmont, that seems like a pretty good fit to me.
Yeah, we've got much more to get to. Taylor Zarzour is in the building. He completed his program a half an hour ago on SiriusXM's PGA Tour Radio. He joins us. We go 4 wide. Much more to get to on a Tuesday edition of 5 Clubs. We're back right after this. Back in on this Tuesday, we're now 4 wide. Nice to have Taylor Zarzour join us, the host of The Starter. You're going, wait a second, I just listened to his show. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And then he got in Charlotte traffic, and he made his way over here because he can multitask, because he's also the radio voice of the Tennessee Titans.
I know Johnson Wagner. I just screamed that out the window, and people pull over to the side of the road.
They didn't bring you a police escort?
No, I didn't get that.
He'll start doing that in the fall, I can promise you, when he goes from football Saturdays in the SEC to the NFL. It's good to have you here, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to as much as we can in the last half hour of this program. We just talked about Rory to a great degree, and there's no reason to think that this is going to continue. We'll all kind of quantify what we think the ledger is going to look like at the end of the year. Do you think there is a scenario where somebody does something we have 3 majors, we have signature series events, we have playoff events that can do to him what Xander Schauffele did to Scheffler last year? Can somebody, and if so, who?
Justin Thomas or Scottie Scheffler would be my top choices right now. But yeah, it's so early in the season that it could be unforeseen. It could be someone that hasn't done anything yet. It could be Xander Schauffele. Who has obviously getting over an injury. It's early in the season. He's played better at the Masters, certainly. So it's unknown who that person could be. But the answer to your question is yes, there's plenty of time left for someone to get into the Player of the Year conversation. To me, the most fascinating thing of this is to see how fired up Rory is to play in the rest of these events. I predict he's going to play with more freedom than he's ever played with before. But I think what he is going to tell you is that it takes a reset. Even after winning your biggest event ever, it takes a reset to be as committed and motivated to playing in those events moving forward. I predict he will be. But that tiger-like mentality that he played with so far this year, he's going to need to continue to have that to continue to win.
Yeah, the major, I think we all agree we like the way it's set up now. But it is a quick reset for whoever wins the Masters tournament, and the gravity of him doing it, I think there is some psychological and physical challenge to doing what he's getting ready to embark on at Quail Hollow. I ask you the same thing I asked him. Is it Justin Thomas or Scheffler who could create, like, wait a second, take it easy. We're halfway, not even when it comes to the majors. Can somebody push him with respect to all of a sudden they're having a season that you could say, okay, I can make a case.
Yeah, somebody can. I don't think somebody's going to, though.
Okay.
I think because of how early we are, certainly somebody can, but no. I think Rory is.
Is it because of what he's going to still do?
Yes.
In addition to what he's already done?
Yes.
Okay.
But you look at what Scottie Scheffler's done the last couple of years. He's raised the bar like Tiger did, like Rory did in the mid-2000, when he was winning all those majors. And I think Rory's now set it up here to where Xander and Scottie and everybody's going to have to raise their game. And yes, I think Scottie's going to be that guy again to Xander's last year. I think he's poised for a run. He's playing great golf. He's getting that consistency back. And as you mentioned, if his short game would just be a touch tighter, I think we'll see him in contention. And by the way, how great would it be to see those two battle it out in a couple of events?
And to Johnson's point, Scottie's the best we've seen since Tiger at resetting mentally after a victory. In covering college football and watching Nick Saban at Alabama, he would always talk about how his teams were not defending anything after a national championship or being ranked number one in the nation.
That's the Coach K model as well.
Every new scenario you're in is a new scenario, and it takes you being as motivated for that as it did previously. We've seen plenty of hangovers. I think Shane Lowry is still having one from Portrush in 2019. And I think most of the world probably would celebrate the way that Shane Lowry celebrated in 2019. But if you want to be the player of the year, it takes exactly what Johnson just said, having that sort of Scottie Scheffler mentality that he had last year. Rory's taken a lot from Scottie. I think he needs to take these next steps with him too.
Yeah. To go back to back Bay Hill, the players last year, and then go back to back Masters to RBC Heritage. To your point, Taylor, about the mental strength and the reset that takes. Rory clearly at the Zurich, I think he was a little bit under the weather, and obviously the lift was a little bit too much, but he was drained on Sunday, and that rain delays both Saturday and Sunday afternoon. But I think we'll see Rory back to where he was at the Players, at the Masters, come Truist and PGA.
It's not about the player of the year because he's not a member of the tour anymore, but Bryson, in terms of what he did at Augusta National, it was kind of by hook or crook. He was not good in terms of his iron play, but somehow he found his way into that final group. He putted, he made everything that seemed to matter, and everything matters. And his major championship record is becoming more consistent. He's had good results the last couple of years at Augusta National. The PGA has been good to him. He played well at Oak Hill. He was obviously the last line of defense. Could he be the guy that whether he got shut out by Rory on Sunday and frozen out, which I think is hilarious myself, is he to be spoken of? Do you think he is somebody in the next three majors? You've got that wry grin on your face.
Because I don't want to say yes, but I'm going to say yes. I mean, there's a guy that hits the golf ball like Bryson. There's always a chance that he can find lightning in a bottle and he can overpower a golf course any week. So yes, Bryson certainly could. I don't think he's going to, but he certainly could.
Well, and you think of where he's won with thick rough in the past. At Wingfoot when he won the 2020 U.S. Open. He won at Bay Hill as well with thick rough. I would ask you, Johnson, because you play there more than anyone, and you have some paint on the wall at Quail Hollow, the rough is going to be thicker than what we've seen in maybe ever at Quail Hollow. At least it was Sunday evening before they shut the course down, as I did a little research. That suits Bryson well.
It does, and not only that, his ability to play out of the rough, but when you look at Quail Hollow as a whole, it really favors a right-handed player that plays a right-to-left shot off of the tee. When you look at the key crucial tee shots out there, it certainly favors that. But the rough isn't going to be 4 or 5 inch pitch-out rough. It's mown back to the players, so it's going to reward someone who's got the strength to go down and get it, and you're going to be able to get it to the greens. It's just whether or not you can hold them. But Bryson, Rory are two of the best out of playing out of rough like that, and it is thick, and it is right back into your face.
But to your point, which is really important, is that when Justin Thomas won in 2017, it's August, the grass conditions are totally different. This is what you're accustomed to seeing in May. However, there's a modesty to the PGA Tour rough that you have at what was the Wells Fargo, will be the Truist after this year in Philly when they return next year. So that is an element that will be new for all these guys.
It'll be unique, and I did notice a little smile on Kerry Haig's face as he was out on the grounds in the last couple of weeks because of the championship level rough we were going to have for the PGA Championship. I love it. To your point, we've never seen something like that before at Quail Hollow.
And one more note on the rough, we used a completely different overseed structure this year, a different mixture of seed grass for the rough. Because we're a week later, because we wanted thicker rough to ensure if we had a warm spring, we would still have that healthy stand of rye and a bunch of other stuff in there.
I'd love to see the fillet try to chop it out of that these days.
Power, Taylor, power.
And he's in love with the game again. We will have our PGA Championship preview from this quartet available for you next week. Let's talk about some guys as it relates to Keegan Bradley, because you say it's early, but you look at the fact that we're more than halfway through this season, and I think that guys start looking at those rankings. We certainly do. Give me two guys that Keegan Bradley needs to kind of go, okay, guys, it's time. Don't make me to have a choice on you, or at least be close enough that it really is not even a choice at being 7 or 8 in the point standings. Give me two names.
Well, he needs a couple stalwarts. He needs some guys that have Ryder Cup experience. So for me, Patrick Cantlay and Jordan Spieth are two guys that he really needs to start playing well.
Okay. Spieth has been decent.
Decent.
Considering
inconsistent
the surgery.
though.
But way down the rankings.
He's 32nd.
Yeah, inconsistent.
Yep. Okay. How about you?
I mean, I have those two written down, but I'll throw another one out there, and Brooks Koepka, a guy that's had a lot of experience. It would
good
be,
one.
I mean, he's 5-time major champion. There's not many guys that'll be playing a Ryder Cup that have that sort of background and big events. So I don't know that Brooks's record has been that great. I'd rather have a guy like Patrick Cantlay on that team that sort of fires up the opposition at a home Ryder Cup. I think he could be sort of the new Patrick Reed.
There are certain guys, for whatever reason, that adapt to a very odd and very discomforting environment. Undeniably, he's one of those people.
Without a doubt, and he can putt. And the big issue, especially in away games for the American team, is they get out-putted in these events.
Yep.
And Maverick McNeely looks like he will be on the team. He's a great putter. I would love to see a Denny McCarthy on the team if he plays well enough to be considered, because he's a great putter. Those are the answers, by the way, Cantlay and Spieth for me. But maybe I would add Tony Finau, just because you can play him with anyone, and he hasn't had necessarily the best 2025 yet. No. But you can put him with anybody on the team. Everybody loves the guy. But Cantlay and Spieth are the answers. Those guys need to play better, and I'm getting a little concerned about what we're seeing so far, especially out of Cantlay.
Yeah, I get it, why those two are, you're right, the answers. And I think the reason why you didn't add this other name is because you're just assuming that he's close to being right anyway. Here's the thing about Xander Schauffele. There can't be any doubt. He has to be right, because if you look at the European team, and not only do you look at the flexibility that they have, as interchangeable as they always are, and they're so malleable, I'll play with him, they also have genuine depth that they haven't had before. They also have these linchpins at the top of their lineup. And with Scheffler, you need to know that Schauffele is that other linchpin. He has to be the guy that he was at the end of 24. You cannot go to Bethpage with him being on the team, no doubt he will be there, but thinking, well, give as much as you can give. No. You have to believe that he's one of the dudes, right?
100%. I mean, I would throw Morikawa in that mix as well.
That's a good one.
But I agree with you. Xander and Scottie need to be 1-2, because you look at 1-2 on the other side. I mean, Rory, you've got Rahm, you've got Oberg, you've got a bunch of guys that can take over that leadership role and go out and really set the tone for your team with their play.
Gary, to your point about depth, Brendon, you think of the team that plays against the Americans in these events always has a disadvantage in depth. I think it's gone.
It's gone away.
I think the European team has as much, if not more, depth.
The knock was always on the European team was sort of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, was never nearly as strong as the American team. To your point, that is certainly not the case right now. I would say even stronger.
It's one of those things where world ranking stats have been the thing to support the whole depth imbalance. I've never bought it because, again, we're not putting 12 guys on a golf course for 4 days and aggregating a 72-hole stroke play result.
Right.
This is a totally different format, and their strength is in, again, their flexibility, which I think adds depth, the fact that they have more interchangeable parts. And our best players over the last 25 years, the two best, never wanted to play with each other. That was an experiment that failed miserably, as we all chuckle over it. But again, it is bona fide depth now with guys who are winning more regularly on the best tour in the world, and that is here. They have 7 wins this year, and it's not even May.
And the Højgaards just finished second at the Zurich.
Yeah, it's your team.
I don't know if we're keeping points. I would have to believe Johnson has an outrageous lead in the points that you have never shown us.
It's money. We show it every Wednesday. Watch the show.
No, I've watched the show, but I don't see any points underneath it. There are points? Okay.
It's the money accrued.
It's minuscule. Oh, okay.
No, it's
all right.
right
very
there.
good. All right.
And it's nice to pick a winner.
You're legally blind. It's
social
right
media. The social media picks, I don't see the points tabulated.
It's nice to pick a winner in a major and a signature event, just to let you know the money's just a little bit higher than those.
All right, give me a name. You mentioned Maverick McNeely, nobody at the beginning of the year. was kicking his name around that he was going to be in the conversation. Is he your guy that you think is going to be one of those rookies that we didn't expect in January?
I would be surprised at this point if he's not on the team with the way that he has played the last 5 or 6 months. So, yeah, I'll go with Maverick McNeely. And again, I want somebody that is a terrific putter, that is not afraid to pour it in outside 20 feet. That seems to be the issue that the American team has had in the last 25, 30 years when these matchups get to be close, especially on foreign soil, but a few times on American soil too.
Give me a guy.
I mean, there may be a little bit of recency bias here, but Andrew Novak, I mean,
why not?
Guy's played in 4 of the last groups already this year. He's kind of a gamer as well. He looks like he is a gamer. He wouldn't be afraid of the moment.
He's got a fillet backswing too.
Yeah,
doesn't go back very far.
Yeah, I like that. Power, Taylor. Power.
He is. First of all, I'm glad you brought up the fact that the experience of late times, there's pressure associated with that. And he is a gamer. Anybody who's unafraid to give his opinion about anything means that he's got the bona fides. And I think he's an interesting guy, and I think that's a valid one. Give me a guy.
I mean, it would be Andrew Novak for me, too. And Saturday, the way he handled the interview, what would a win mean? He's like, I just feel like it's the next step for me. I loved that interview. Ben Griffin was like, oh, it would mean the world. And of course, that's the answer that you would get. But we were talking about this last night with respect to Andrew Novak. Now you're in position to make your first Ryder Cup team. Here in a couple weeks, you're going to get fit for close. And I know from experience that it changes the way you think about the rest of your year.
You start getting asked those questions.
You get ahead of yourself, and now you're like, oh, man. And it builds and builds and builds. So for guys like Maverick and guys like Novak, we were talking about Brendon when he made the team in 2013 for the international team, President's Cup. You played great at the end of the year and didn't have to deal with all the pressure of playing good early. It is a different mindset.
It's a fantastic point. It really is.
No, it is. You know, it's nice. Anonymity, there's real value to that for a lot of your existence on the PGA Tour. Now, whether he wants to think about it or not, it's like, hey, man, you thought about the Ryder Cup? Lucas Glover is, I would mention his name for the reasons that I think he is. It's not about, hey, you've earned this over the course of your career. You need to bring the best 12 guys. Let me give you one other name as well. His putter is not the most reliable thing, but when you talk about a guy hitting it out of the center of the face, Tom Hoge, I think Tom Hoge is capable of being in that conversation. I think his odds are shorter than someone like Andrew Novak. He's also further down. But he's the kind of guy that I also think rookies have performed well, European and American rookies. It has been something that they have done okay in. Any guy who's willing to spend a lot of money playing gin rummy, he ain't scared.
Or dice.
Or dice. There's another example.
I'm not saying that it's going to happen for Luke Clanton or Jackson Koiven, but just remember 2 years ago, Ludwig Åberg was playing college golf. And to your point, Johnson, late in the process, made the European team. It'd be interesting to see if we see some story like that materialize over the summer.
Well, I mean, think about how many top results Luke Clanton has had. Ludwig Åberg had barely played. What did he play? Bay Hill as an amateur. He played maybe a couple of European Tour events. Luke Clanton's already had, 4 or 5 top 10s?
Åberg had a win already in Europe as well.
Not as an amateur.
Not as an amateur.
No, I'm saying before he turned pro.
Clanton's already done a lot more.
Clanton's going to go play the John Deere where he finished second last year. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see him rattle off a win on the PGA Tour.
Well, if he does that, then the conversation gets very real. We take a quick break, come back. More to do on this Tuesday. Back after this. All right, a couple minutes left here on this Tuesday. A reminder on this SiriusXM side on PGA Tour Radio, both captains for the President's Cup for 2026 are going to be on later today with Colton Drew, correct?
That's right.
The American captain is going to be on this program tomorrow just after 8 a.m. Eastern time. All right, let me ask you something about a result this past weekend on the Korn Ferry Tour. Blades Brown is going to be 18 on May 21st. He's now going to stop cherry-picking PGA Tour sponsor exemptions. He is in position to get a PGA Tour card through the Korn Ferry Tour. Give me a gauge of that accomplishment as a 17, soon-to-be 18-year-old, that he's in position to do this.
Well, it's massive, and let me preface it with this, that I owe this guy an apology because I said he was going down the wrong route.
He's not the only one you
should have gone. Well, I'll start with him. He's number one anyway. I said he should have gone to college, but yeah, what he's achieving is unbelievably impressive.
I still think he should have gone to college.
I get it.
But I think the Korn Ferry Tour, I think he was so focused when he turned pro on getting those 7 spots and trying to earn his card through the PGA Tour that this was always going to be the better route. It's way more laid back and comfortable. You're not playing against the best players in the world. You're playing against the future best players in the world, and it's where he belongs. I'm happy he had a spot at Byron Nelson this week that he gave away to take his top 25 finish, and he's in Mexico this week. I think it's the right path for him. And even next year, if he doesn't finish in the top 20, but he's got status out there, it's okay to spend a couple years on the Korn Ferry Tour. It's arguably the second best place in the world to play golf.
I applaud him for the decision that Johnson just talked about, because I would imagine there's some people around Blades that wished he would have played on the PGA Tour event this week. It takes some maturity and some level-headedness to do that. There are a number of guys each year that try to figure out, okay, should I go and start on the PGA Tour or stick with the Korn Ferry Tour to regain my card? Josh Teeter is 46 years old.
Awesome.
He's third right now in the Korn Ferry Tour standings, and he is committed to playing the Korn Ferry Tour because he's trying to get back to the PGA Tour. So whether you're 17 or 46, you're trying to go through that, which is really cool.
No, it's very cool. Hank Lebioda is right up there, too. He's much younger than Josh, but it's a great point. I think there's some people in Nashville that wanted him to play college golf as well.
True.
But nonetheless, it's a story to follow. It's not a done deal, but the fact that he got a tied for second puts him in position to do this is very, very impressive. Their show on the YouTube channel is going to be available tomorrow because he's going to be creating a bunch of amazing shots from 2000 in Tiger. For all the boys here in our PGA Championship preview, including this guy next week, have a great Tuesday, everybody.